Are we recording? Does my hair look okay? Here we go, guys. Welcome to Tori TV. This is an in-depth breakdown of Welcome to Heartbreak, the poetry book. I know a lot of times I can post certain poems and sometimes people will get the deeper meaning, but sometimes people don't. And then of course, anytime with poetry, there can be different interpretations, which is completely fine. I want everyone to interpret my poems however best fits them and their current situation. Some people would like to know what my initial interpretation was of it, you know? Some people want to know what I really meant by what I said. So for that reason, I wanted to go ahead and make this channel so that I can give an in-depth explanation of where these poems are coming from and what I meant when I initially wrote them. I always wondered what was the point of my pain. Well, it took some time. I spent majority of my depression trying to survive and stay sane. But for the few seconds that I could come up for air, I'd imagine there was a way around it. For the few seconds till I was back under and back aware. It was like in the midst of my sinking, I needed an anchor. Like it made sense, but it didn't. Mind you, I'm trying to think straight in a maze of thoughts. I'm racing to pick all the fruit before the vineyard rots. 10 years in, and I'm here with 3 pieces. But it's my dream only. Nobody else sees this. It's not real till I speak what I need to say. I always wondered what was the point of my pain. To make a long story short, welcome to Heartbreak. Okay, so let's break it down. At this point, I'm more so just describing how pretty much throughout my entire depression, all I could think about was trying to make it out alive. Like I'm trying to beat my depression. I'm fighting suicidal ideation. I'm fighting not wanting this, not caring about this. Like I didn't care about anything. I didn't want anything. Nothing mattered. Nothing had reason. Nothing had purpose. But every now and then, throughout all these years of depression, I might have like a week or two where I feel like I can breathe. You know, I feel like, okay, maybe there is a purpose. Like it's hard to see it, but maybe it's there. I just have so much going on. Like it's hard to see it, but that doesn't mean it's not there. So for those few seconds that I would come up for air, I would be able to see like, okay, there's a life outside of this depression. Because being in it for so long, you feel like that's all there's going to be. Well, me personally, I got to a point of feeling like that was all there was ever going to be. Like I was never going to be happy. There's no life outside of this for me. This is just, I'm literally just destined to be depressed my entire life. It more so just means like I'm sinking, I'm drowning, and I'm just lost and I'm all over the place, basically. And I felt like I needed an anchor in the sense that I needed something to ground me. I needed something to hold me down. Like I needed something that just could give me a reason or a will to live. I've always been pretty adamant about wanting to be fruitful. I don't know, it's just kind of like a theme of my life. Like, I want to plant seeds and I want to do good works and I want to see the fruits of my works. I want to have that as an accomplishment. Before depression hit me, I felt like I had bared some fruit. But in the midst of being depressed, it's hard to be fruitful. This is more so me trying to paint the picture of I'm trying to take hold of those prior accomplishments just to have something to hold on to, just to feel like I did something. Because once I got into this mindset, like I said, I felt like depression was just going to consume my entire life. So once I realized I can't be fruitful while I'm depressed, I felt like whatever fruits I had bared at that point, those were the only fruits I was going to bear. So I needed to grab them. There was going to be no more fruit. I had to take what I could. This is actually referring to the fact that I wanted to make 3 different versions of Welcome to Heartbreak. I wanted a poetry book, I wanted an EP, and I wanted like a movie. Or just like a video, but movie. Obviously, I have not put out the other 2 pieces. They're still in the works. Writing my poetry is very familiar for me. I've been doing this since I was like 11. Speaking my poetry and putting it over an instrumental or, a soundtrack was very different. It proved to be a lot more difficult than I anticipated. So that has not been out. as well as making the movie. I have the vision of how I want it to come out and how I want it to be, but it's very hard to produce and direct and act in a movie all by yourself. So I definitely am going to inquire about more professional help. At this point, at least, neither of the other two pieces have been released, but that's what I was referring to. Just, of course, just introducing the book, basically letting everybody know this, I believe, is the point of my pain. Me fully stepping into writing poetry is the point of my pain. I've been away for way too long. I've been in love and out again. I've grown closer to God and deeper in sin. I sought redemption and found it. I have been altogether lost and founded. My mind has grown in masses. Could even the Lord forgive my trespasses? To a certain extent, I do feel like some poems, of course, are kind of self explanatory, but just in case, I still would like people to kind of understand my thought process behind it. The away in this sense is me being away from God, me being away from my religion, my relationship with God. Before I got to this level of my relationship with God, I idolized love and relationships so much. I had to include it in this poem because it's just like I was just in and out of love. I do feel like throughout my entire lifespan, I've always been growing closer to God in a sense, but it's like there was a point in time where I felt like my relationship with God and my sin could live in the same house comfortably. Like they're gonna live in the same house a lot of times because we're human, we're sinners. That's fine. My problem is I was finding it to be comfortable. Like I wasn't uncomfortable having my sin in the same house as my relationship with God, if that makes sense. Like, hopefully it doesn't sound bad, but hey, I haven't always had the healthiest mind frame or mindset. So this is my dirty truth, okay? While I'm simultaneously, getting closer to God, I'm also still growing deeper in sin because now I'm not just sinning based off, oh, I'm a human, I make mistakes. I'm sinning as in, I know I have a relationship with God, but I know I'm sinning and everything seems to be okay. So I'm just going to keep sinning knowingly, like my sin with lust. I was extremely lustful. And at some point, if I can be completely honest, I made it up in my head that it was okay. I made it up in my head, like, well, I've gotten rid of almost every other sin. So this sin should be fine to stay. That was a terrible place to be. Number one, terrible place to be. But that's just pretty much what I'm referring to is I feel like that's, of course, worse. Like knowingly sinning and just saying you don't care is worse than sinning and you're trying to fight it off. You're trying to do better. You know it's wrong and you're trying to fix it. I just feel like there's a difference. At one point, I went to a church service at Cascade Hills Church in Columbus, Georgia. And that's my hometown church. I grew up in that church. There was a specific service I went to, and he was talking about how if you really want God to work in your life and really have control over your life, you have to open every door to Him. And he mentioned how all of us have that one door that we have closed that we don't let God go in or we don't open up to God. And immediately, the first thing that came to my mind was my lustful nature. And I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I was like, I need every door open because God, I want you to be able to work in my life 100%, not just 90%, because I keep that 10% closed off and I won't let you in. Like, it's unacceptable. I don't know what it was about that service, but it just clicked. So that day I prayed. I prayed that God would help me to open that door because I didn't know how to open that door. I didn't know how to talk about sex in prayer. I felt like now I might let sin in my relationship with God in the same house, but I'm not talking to God about my sexual relations at the time. But now I have grown. God helped me to open that door. And after I opened that door, I asked God to free me from it. I asked God to redeem me. I asked God to help me fight off this sinful nature, and the sin of lust. And amazingly enough, here we are now, probably about a year and a half later, and I have decided to practice abstinence until marriage. And it took some time to like fully make the decision. And I did, celibacy a couple times just to test the waters, see how I really felt about it. Cause it kept being on my heart, but I was like, maybe I'm tweaking. Like, girl, do you really think you could go that far? Like, be for real. But I kept testing the waters with celibacy. And just that last time that I had sex, I just knew like, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do it. I don't want sex outside of marriage, and that's for God. But more so for me, I don't want sex outside of love. I don't want to be tricked anymore. I don't want to be bamboozled thinking like, I'm a firm believer that once you have sex, different emotions get tangled up, and then the woman feels one way, and then the man doesn't feel the same way because for him, this is an everyday thing. He's having different girls you know, every other night. For a woman, or at least a woman like me, it's not an all the time type of thing. So I'm thinking it means something. I'm thinking it's sentimental, which to me it is, but to them it's not. So I pretty much finally made the decision that I want to practice abstinence until marriage. I have sealed it with prayer, promise, vows, and my purity ring, which I love. My sister got it for me. So amazingly enough, I was redeemed, and I'm so grateful every single day. I felt like I hit rock bottom of being lost. Granted, there was at no point I ever worshiped the enemy, or I ever turned away from God, or I ever denied God or denied Jesus or the Holy Spirit. But at least in my mind frame, as far off as I could go, I went there. Like, that whole feeling like I could sin and I was just untouchable because I was still a child of God. I still talk to God, like, so I can sin as much as I want. That was lost. Like, I was lost in my religion, and I was lost in life. I was thinking, oh, I can just do whatever I want. I'm depressed, and it's kind of like, if like you get really sad, like you have a bad day and you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna eat a bunch of junk food and sit on the couch and watch TV or like watch movies, whatever. Like, basically, I'm gonna reward my bad mood with, junk food, which I'm not saying is a bad thing because I do that. If I'm sad, I'm going to get me some ice cream. Matter of fact, I just bought some ice cream the other day. It's in my fridge. But on a bigger scale, I was like, oh, I'm depressed and I hate my life and I'm sad. So every single day, it's like, I need to do something to make myself feel better, And instead of being like, oh, I need to go sit down and read my Bible, which I did occasionally, but not often whatsoever. Instead of picking up good habits, I would reward my depression with a man, or buying a new purse, or doubling back on somebody that I should have never been doubling back or first backing on in the first place. So basically, I just felt like I was lost. I was lost, and then God found me in my depths of depression, in my depths of being lost. I was founded. I know it's so contradictory. My entire life's kind of contradictory. Like, there's so many things that will contradict each other throughout my life, but I am mentally ill. I don't know. I don't know how else best to explain it. Like, that's my best explanation, is that maybe I'm a little off. Like, in the midst of me going through everything in my life, when I would pray for wisdom. It's almost like in my relationship with God, there was a future version of myself running that relationship, because outside of prayer, outside of sitting down with God, I wasn't living right. Like, there came out the younger version of me that thought she was just untouchable. She could just do whatever she wanted. She was just acting crazy, being crazy. But basically, by this point, my mind had grown in masses. I had gained so much wisdom. I have gained so much wisdom to the point it transformed me. So, I mean, a lot of things work together to transform me, but that wisdom, baby, once you know, you know. Like, once you know, you can't unknow. And that's why I do wholeheartedly believe in the whole ignorance is bliss thing, because it is blissful to be ignorant, because you don't know no better. You don't know the difference between this and that. That's why kids are just happy go lucky. Like, they don't know nothing about life. They just living it. So yes, that's what I mean by my mind has grown in masses. I became a lot smarter, a lot wiser, a lot more intentional, a lot more careful, a lot more considerate. And then, could even the Lord forgive my trespasses? Once you step into that healthy, real relationship with God, a possible downside is that you get to the front and you have to turn around. And when you turn around, you see the past version of yourself, and you see see all the damage you did back then. You see all the sins that you committed. You see all the ways that you sabotage your life, all the times that you heard from God, but you was like, I'm gonna do it my way instead, which is disrespectful to God. And me personally, I think my biggest one is me trying to commit suicide. One day my sister and I sat down and counted how many times I've actually tried to kill myself, and it was about 9 or 10 times. And at the time I even like giggled it off like, that's crazy. Once I learned just how much God really loves me, that took a toll on me. I broke my own heart because I just know I broke God's heart. I want to say the third time I tried to kill myself, where I was like really taking it there. What saved me was God almost showed me like a vision of my family getting the news, you know? So I saw my aunt's reaction. And I saw my sister's reaction. And then I saw my mom's reaction. And when I saw my mom's reaction, I was like, I can't do that to her. Like, because in that vision, she was just, I don't know, the worst possible word for devastated and heartbroken and torn and distraught. Like, I felt her pain. I felt her pain. It's like, I don't know, after that, I felt like I had seen what it looks like for a parent to lose their child. And from there, I felt like I could only imagine how God must have felt to have given me life and created me, and then to see me try to take that life over and over and over again. Like, I can just imagine. And when I really sit down and think about it, like, it breaks my heart because I just really wish I had not done that, because not only does it make me look ungrateful, which I'm sure he knows it wasn't necessarily because of me being ungrateful, but just would be sad to see your child go through so much like sadness and anguish that they really would rather just completely end their life. So then, of course, in the end, I ended up just questioning like if the Lord could forgive my trespasses, because I felt like I betrayed him in a lot of ways. Whew, that was a lot. I'm taking a trip. I can't physically move, so I must mentally migrate. How can one teardrop make the entire bed vibrate? This is where I lie and lose my life. It's sad and it's scary, so I need to paint it. It's just a trip. It won't last forever. My mind takes me away because it loves me enough. My body loves me so much, it goes numb. The angel said this pain will kill you a million times over soon. There's no need to feel it now, so we'll wipe the next few days from you. I thought all things were working together to postpone my death, but I had already died the moment my pants were stripped. There is a lot to unpack in this poem. So let's just start by saying that this poem is, of course, about me being raped, the time that I was raped in the military. And this poem is coming from the place of it actually physically happening to me, where I was mentally. I'm going away in my head. Like, there's so much to unpack with this poem. Oh my goodness. There are a couple different trauma responses to when something is taking place. There's fight, flight, and freeze. Took hold of my pants and more so yanked them down. And my just immediate reaction was to just freeze up. And of course, I thought I was being strong by saying, no, I don't want that. But that did not work. Um, So once he used more force to pull my pants down, I felt like I had already lost the battle. Like at that point, it's me against some man that is like probably 10 times stronger than me. So I froze. So I must mentally migrate. My mind just kind of took me away. It took me out of there. I don't know how. I'm not thinking like, oh, let me just go somewhere else. Like everything happened so fast and it was so unexpected. I don't know. My mind just did whatever. I didn't have control over it. So that's the me taking a trip. I'm going somewhere mentally. As he was raping me, I was laying on my stomach, my head was turned to the side. And I remember looking at the brick wall in front of me. It was in a barracks room. I remember looking at the brick wall in front of me, and there was this one tear I just remember one tear coming out of my eye. And I felt it the entire time. Like I felt it drooping down my face. And then eventually it hit the pillow. Somehow during this point, I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything. I don't feel anything. All I feel is this teardrop. And then when it hit the pillow, it was like the loudest thing I'd ever heard. It honestly felt like I just went and smacked the pillow. But then with me being so like out of body, it just felt crazy. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. And like, I know it sounds crazy. You're just like, girl, it's just a teardrop, but it's like, I don't know. Like, it just, that's all I could hear. I don't know. A great part of me died that night. I felt like it was so traumatizing. I don't know. Basically feeling like to present it, I need to make it not so sad and not so scary. The idea is basically that a painting is something that's beautiful, portrays beauty. It can make pain look peaceful. So basically, my own way of saying I need to make it presentable. I think it's kind of a little self explanatory, but my mind was kind enough to help me escape from that moment, even without me asking it to. Like, it just took me away. And then my body loves me so much it goes numb. I When I was being raped, my body went completely numb. Like I said earlier, I didn't feel I was just completely out of it. Pretty much I feel like my guardian angels knew what would come of this. And what came of it was all those years of being immensely depressed and out of it and lost, and all of that was rooted in this experience. So basically, my guardian angels knew like, this is something that's going to impact you for the rest of your life. This is something that you are about to have to deal with, and it is going to basically kill you internally. It's going to kill you over and over and over again. After I was raped, I feel like I kind of blacked out for like 2 weeks straight. Like, my body just kind of went on autopilot. And honestly, if you were to ask me anything from that time frame, I have no clue. I don't remember. I don't remember it being over. I don't remember him getting off of me. I don't remember him leaving. I don't remember me getting up off the bed. I don't remember pulling my pants back up. I don't remember taking a shower. I don't remember going to work the next day because I mean, I was in the military. I had to get up at still 5 o'clock in the morning and go to work the next day. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. You can find my book available for purchase on Amazon.com. And if you did purchase my book, thank you so entirely much.
We wear the mask that grins and lies. It shades our cheeks and hides our eyes. This debt we pay with torn and bleeding heart. We smile.